everyone, this is Amanda Belchinsky in the Professional Development Committee. I'm going to show you how to create an assignment in your Blackboard for Turnitin. Now, one reason why we suggest to use Turnitin is because it will save you time and make things easier for students. Turnitin will allow you to grade within the system using even polling comments where you can just quickly drag common things that you say to students. Makes it so you can have a rubric graded right within it. It's a wonderful tool. There's other videos that will show you how to grade within Turnitin and videos for students that will be provided. To create a Turnitin assignment, it's very simple. Now, you can have the assignment description right here first if you would like. Just create an item and say whatever the assignment is. So let's just pretend that this is my assignment. And you can just use the Turnitin as a Dropbox with no other information. Now, if you have web links or videos or anything that you need for the Turnitin assignment, you'll want to create that little item first. To create the assignment, you go under the assessments and scroll down to Turnitin. When you click that, three options are going to show up. We have the paper assignment, the peer mark assignment, and revision. So you can see information right over here. Most of us will use the paper assignment. This is just a regular assignment that they'll turn in once and no one else looks at. Peer assignment is if you want other people to see it, where you can have students view other student papers. And revision is if you're going to let them submit multiple drafts. Say you do a rough draft and a final draft. This is a good way to go. Now, we're going to do paper assignment because that's the most common that people will use. So after you have it clicked, just go to next step. Now what you see here is the basic information. So give it a title. So I'm going to say creating Turnitin assignment Dropbox. And it's worth 1,000 points. Now, one thing is that for most cases you want to just use this spot that's always checked. Now this way it can be checked for plagiarism, which is a major reason why we use this, is that this database has millions upon millions of resources that it checks on, online websites, journals, ebooks, everything. So you definitely want to be able to use that. Now you have three dates over here. The start date is the date they can start turning it in. So if you say that you want them to be able to see what the assignment is, but you don't want them to be able to turn anything in until October 1st. You can go and change this to October 1st. Let's say you say the due date when when it's actually due is October 2nd. So that'll be the last day it's due. Now we can actually make it so that they can't turn in anything after that, or if you accept late work, you can make it so they can turn things after that. Then below it, we have the post date. The post date is when students will be able to see the comments that go with your assignment. So if you, for say, don't want anyone to be able to see their comments until after you grade everybody's paper, so you want to give yourself 4 days, you can go in here and not make it available until 4 days later. Or say that you just don't care and they can see the comments whenever you get it graded. Then you just have it set on the due date or before. Now below is the optional settings. This is the area where we also tend to use. Now if you just want to use this as a Dropbox, you don't want any other information, one thing I normally put is submit your assignment here and print off your digital receipt. Now the rest of this is up to you. So do you accept submissions after the due date? If you don't want late work, click no. If you want late work, click yes. Anything turned after the due date, if it's clicked yes, will be marked late in the assignments. Generate an originality report. This is the plagiarism report. So typically we always want to leave that yes. The generating for student submission, this one has a couple different choices. You can do it the immediate, the first report is final. That means if you select this first one, students can turn it in once and only once. So if they mess up and they turn in a biology paper instead of a sociology paper, they can't fix that unless they contact you. And you'd have to delete it off and things like that. The one what Professional Development Committee recommends is this one. Immediate can overwrite report until due date. Now, one reason this is good is let's say that you have a paper, these are freshmen, they haven't really done a whole lot in college yet. Having this option, they can turn it in, say the assignment's due Friday. They turn it in Monday. They can look at their plagiarism report, the originality report, and say, oh my god, I plagiarized. They can go back, fix their paper, and turn it in again. That will overwrite the first one, and so they corrected themselves before they made a tremendous mistake. Or take the student with the paper that was biology instead of sociology. They realize they turned in the wrong one before the due date, they can go back in and fix it themselves and turn in the right paper. Exclude bibliographic materials on similar things. If you want them to leave off the works cited and some of that kind of stuff, you can click yes and it'll leave it off. If you want to exclude quoted material so that it doesn't mark it, because it will mark it as plagiarized, but you'll also be able to see what is labeled as plagiarized if you want to be able to see where the quotes came from. Make sure it matches with their works cited. Exclude small matches. How many words in a sentence do you want to be allowed together before it's marked plagiarism? So like, my dog ran. Well, that could be marked as plagiarism pretty easily. So that's a small sentence you might want to have that exclude. So how many words do they have to show up? Allow students to see it. Unless you're not actually checking for plagiarism because you know it's going to come back plagiarized. Like, say that you had them turn in a worksheet where they just had to fill in the blank a few spots. Well, if they just had to fill in the blank, all the other stuff is going to be marked plagiarism, so that's not going to do much, and it's just going to scare them. So you can make it so they can't see that. Reveal the grade to students on the post date. Yes or no? That was that date where we wanted them to be able to see it. And then you have this one. This is the big one, the rubric. Once you create a rubric and turn it in, it will forever be available. So take a rubric that you use for an assignment. When you go into the Launch Rubric Form Manager, it's going to give you some options. So you can see I've got a paper in here already. So clicking up on the corner, it says Create Rubric, Create Rubric Form. Here's a whole bunch of normal ones that people have used. So if you look at this and say, hey, you know what? This is exactly the kind of rubric I need for this assignment. You can use it. Once you create one, though, it's always in here. So if you look, these are all the rubrics I've created for my classes and for other people's classes. So they are permanently in my Turnitin. I never have to go back and create them again or transfer them over. So from semester to semester, I just have to go and click which one. So I'm going to go, there we go. So this is one for another instructor. So it's got all of his analysis on all his criteria over here, and then his information. So let's say you want to create one. Just click Create New Rubric, and take a rubric that you have and just copy and paste. So in here, this is the criteria. So content. Does a full job of explaining the material. Does not do a full job of explaining explanation. Does not explain the material. say that that's my thing. I can make the do this all by weighted, just like we can in other rubrics. So let's say this is worth 50%. This is a 100. This is a 50. This is a 25. So when this is figured out, that's the scale it'll figure it out in. So if you go through when you're grading and you click one of these, that it'll give it 50% of that score. So it works very, very well. So then all you have to do is hit save, and you'll have what we saw on there. So I'm going to just set this so that this is the one I want. And then you can save this for future papers. So say that you're going to make 4 different papers with the same setups like you have on here. You want that same rubric, you want the same, let them overwrite it, all of this. All you have to do is click that and it'll save it. So when you do it this way, it'll just create forgot to set the post date. It'll create it for the students to view. So there we go. Now we have a created turn-in assignment. Now what you can do as well is say that you just have a short description. So let's go here. I'm going to create one all within this. So this would be the only assignment that gets posted. So I'm going to give a self-reflection. 5 points. I want it to be due September 22nd. So everything is set up. Options. For this assignment, reflect on your progress throughout this class. Explain what you have done well, what you struggled with, what you could do better, and make a goal for the next 4 weeks on how you will improve your study skills. This is worth 5 points and is due September 22nd at 11:59 p.m. So it's just little instructions that didn't really need much. Now as you notice, everything that I already had before is already set up. The rubrics, everything from that last time, all there. So hit submit. And so that description is below the assignment. So we didn't even need something like this. If it's something small and you don't need any embedding, you don't need web links, you don't need anything like that, this is a good way to go. Is you can just do it all within there. So the best way to do this is to practice. Go to a very old class, create a folder, and just practice building a few before you build it in your new class. If you have any questions on that, please contact Professional Development or our IT trainer.